Happy Saturday, foodie friends, grain-free VIPs. This is Nina Blake, the grain-free lifestyle coach, coming to you live from my kitchen in Oakdale, Connecticut, to wish you happy Saturday and for today's Slice of the Grain-Free Lifestyle episode. It is my mission to help families pack their menu with flavor and variety while avoiding grains and allergens so that they can share meals together and live their best lives. Your journey to a delicious grain-free lifestyle starts now. All right, folks, today's topic is where are hidden grains lurking in my diet? Oh my goodness. You guys picked a great topic. I love this topic because so many people come to me and they say, Nina, I'm stuck. Nina, I'm stuck. I've eliminated all the grains. I'm not eating sorghum. I'm not eating rice. I'm not eating oats. I'm not eating amaranth. I know that quinoa bothers me. Some of us it does, others it doesn't. But they tell me I'm not eating grains and I'm not making progress. And so what do? We start looking at the foods that they're eating and looking for the hidden grains. Those are the products, ingredients that are made from grains don't look like the grains that they are made from. So in today's Slice of the Grain-Free Lifestyle episode, we are going to look at 3 places that if you remove hidden grains from 3 places, you start feeling better. You may start feeling better and you will start to experience the results that you've been hoping for, because those hidden grains, once you know the names for them, you realize that while you've been trying to be grain-free, those hidden grains have really been tripping you up and not giving you the progress that you've hoped for. So, where could those hidden grains be lurking in your diet? Well, they could be lurking in seasonings and dressings. They could be lurking in prepared foods and anything labeled gluten-free, dairy-free, or vegan. Those are my top 3 places. Now, if you're like, that's a lot, Nina. What do I do? What do I do? How do I do this? Okay. Well, I would be glad to go through your pantry with you and use my list, my 5-page list of grains and grain-based ingredients so that I can help you get grains out of your diet. In today's talk, we are going to go over a few of them. So let's talk about dressings and seasonings. One of the most common places that grains can hide in a dressing is in the vinegar. And you're like, vinegar? Vinegar's not a grain. Well, vinegar, particularly white vinegar, is often made from grains. If you look it up, white vinegar, the 2 most common sources used for making white vinegar are petroleum, which we definitely don't want to be consuming, and corn. Okay, so right there, if you can choose a salad dressing that does not contain white vinegar, you are going to be heads above the rest. Now, I have a really hard time just talking on camera, so I thought that we could make a grain-free seasoning. Let me open up my recipe, and this is my dairy-free ranch seasoning. So, while we're talking about seasonings, let me get my little jar. I have my nice little mason jar here, and if you would like the recipe for this dairy-free ranch seasoning, then absolutely reach out to me. I'm going to need 5 tablespoons dried minced onions. So here I am. Okay, and if you have little helpers in your kitchen who always want to assist, this is a great recipe for them to help with because you get to shake the jar. So that's 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons, 4 tablespoons, 5 tablespoons dried minced onions. Now we need 7 teaspoons dried parsley flakes. Okay. So 2 tablespoons makes 6 teaspoons. So there's 6 teaspoons, otherwise known as 2 tablespoons. And there's 7 teaspoons. Now I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of salt. And whenever I tell people that this recipe includes 2 tablespoons of salt, they go, Nina, that's a lot of salt. Hold on. This ranch seasoning will make 5 batches of ranch dip. So if you think about 5 batches of ranch dip, each dip makes 10 servings. That's not a lot of salt for all those servings of dip. However, if you prefer to use less, then use less. Break the recipe, make it your own. Okay, and I am using iodized salt. Why? Because, excuse me, I'm not using iodized salt, I'm using fine sea salt. I recommend not using iodized salt because iodized salt contains what? Grains. Told you, seasonings, grains. So you want to make sure that you use a salt that is not iodized. Okay, so I've got my salt. I believe I need garlic powder. I need 1 teaspoon garlic powder. Okay. Now, here we go. Awesome. And now we have our garlic powder, we have our salt, we have our parsley, we have our dried minced onions, and we just shake it up. And this is where you would let your little helper come in. And I am using this seasoning tonight to make my ranch meatloaf. Very excited, haven't had meatloaf in a few weeks. We usually have it once a month, so it's always good to have something to eat that you are excited about. Meatloaf is a great meal prepping recipe, and if you are someone who's been living off prepared foods, adding a safe meatloaf back to your table, one that you can make and freeze and thaw and have ready to go when you want it, is a nice way to get off those prepared foods. So we've talked about dressings and seasonings. If you prepare your seasonings, you're good. Now, do I prepare all of my seasonings? Absolutely not. I try and buy my seasonings as organic when I can. So my Italian seasonings, I will get Frontier Natural Organic Italian seasonings. I will get my organic dried parsley, but I can make up a nice blend like my dairy-free, grain-free ranch seasonings and then use it in recipes, whether it's dips or crumb toppings or meatloaves, and then I know that I'm eating safely while avoiding grains, and it just makes such a difference. So if you would like to know more about making your own seasonings, use the link in the comments so that we can hop on the call and see if I'm a good fit to support you. All right, next thing, prepared foods. What do I mean when I say prepared foods? I mean anything that is ready to go, from your cold cuts to your broths to your grab that rotisserie chicken. If it's prepared, chances are that they are using some type of grain to keep the food moist so that it doesn't dry out. I was at the grocery store yesterday and I grabbed a package of organic turkey cold cuts, right? And what was the third ingredient? Rice starch. Rice is one of my worst grains. Wheat is so much easier on my body than rice. I try to avoid wheat at all costs, but rice is worse. So if I see rice, it's going back. Rice starch is also a component in our dairy-free yogurts. Remember, prepared foods. So I definitely encourage you to read those labels. When you go to the grocery store and you're like, I'll just grab a rotisserie chicken tonight, please check the label for your starches. Starches like modified food starch. You're like, what? Modified food starch is a grain? 2 components in modified food starch. One is potato, the other is corn. They run electricity through it, and then it makes it so that it absorbs more moisture. So it's cheap. Blows your mind. And this is why we have to know our grains. We have to know our grain-based ingredients so that we can avoid them. Because when we start avoiding grains, and particularly the hidden grains, our bodies calm down and they have a chance to recoup, breathe, and experience the healing that we are looking for. Other prepared foods that might contain grains. Anything that's dairy-free. If it says dairy-free, our dairy-free milks, our dairy-free substitutes, they don't thicken the way dairy does for the most part. Oat milk does, but oat is a grain, right? So a lot of times they will use grain-based starches in your dairy-free substitutes, like your dairy-free sour cream, your dairy-free cream cheese, your dairy-free yogurts, and even sometimes in the traditional dairy. The store brand of Kroger sour cream, I've seen it all over the internet, includes cornstarch. Why? Why do they put cornstarch there? The answer is because they are saving money, and we don't want that. We want to avoid that. So for my coaching VIPs, my silver, gold, fast track, and bronze, I have a 5-page list of grain-based ingredients that you can download. So if you would like to get a copy of my 5-page list, could you just drop list in the comments, and I'll be glad to reach out to you and chat with you about how you can get that list. Okay, so yes, I don't expect you to do this on your own. It took me 10 years to figure this out, and I don't think it should take you a decade to figure it out. I appreciate you being here with me so that every Saturday I can give you little nuggets, little slice of the grain-free lifestyle gems to help make this journey easier. But I don't think you should have to show up every Saturday. I think we can really expedite this for you also. So we talked about prepared foods, and that grain-based ingredients like starches hold onto the moisture and make those cold cuts more palatable. Make that chicken stay moist. Make your dairy-free yogurt stable and solid. It adds up to a lot. So what about anything labeled gluten-free? So many people, whether they are a supportive person or they are new to the grain-free lifestyle, believe that gluten is the same as grain. And a lot of doctors will use the term corn gluten, oat gluten. But when something is labeled gluten-free, it's referring to the protein that is found in wheat, barley, rye, and I never say this word right, triticale? It's a hybrid of wheat and rye. But those are the 4 grains that they are referring to if something, the protein gluten, specifically the protein gluten. And a lot of times when a food is labeled gluten-free, it contains what lately? What's the latest trend? They are putting wheat starch in foods that are labeled gluten-free. Do not ask me why. I mean, I guess from the food industry perspective, it makes sense for them. But for those of us who are trying to avoid grains, it really causes a big headache. Now, there are many grains that are free of the traditional singular gluten. Problem is, they're going to be gluten-free foods. And so whenever we pick up a food that is labeled gluten-free, we need to look for those grains. We need to look for oats, corn, rice, amaranth, sorghum, right? We need to look for teff. We need to look for buckwheat. Even though it's a pseudo grain, my body reacts to it awful. We need to look for all the different varieties of wheat. We need to look for farro. We need to look for semolina. We need to look for einkorn. All those traditional grains, whether they are common grains, less common grains, or ancient grains, they're still grains. They are used in our gluten-free foods. And vegan foods. It's great for people who are avoiding animal products. And some of us, particularly those of us who are avoiding dairy and eggs for allergy reasons, will pick up a vegan sour cream and be like, yeah, check that label. Check that label for the starches, for the syrups to make it sweet, right? It's so important that we do that. And if you are tired of struggling with this, if you feel like you're always getting tripped up by this, I hear you and I want to support you. So in my new program, Grain Free Fast Track, I have 5 spots for this program. I am going to teach you to identify hidden grains. We're going to go through my 5-page list in one coaching session. In the next coaching session, we're going to go through your pantry, and you are going to identify where the grains are, and we're going to find simple swaps for you. So by session 2, you will have a completely swapped out pantry. Then in session 3, we're going to look at your cooking and see how you're doing and what techniques I can use to support you so that you can get a particular recipe right. That's sessions 3 and session 4. So that recipe is going to be perfect by the end of session 4. Sessions 5 and 6, I am teaching you to break a recipe. You bring the recipe and I'm going to teach you the very same techniques that I use in my kitchen to make amazing desserts. Can I show you one? Okay. Grain-Free VIPs. This is my latest recipe. It drops this weekend. Okay, so if you are a grain-free VIP, this is the next recipe you're getting. These are my lectin-free chocolate chip cookie bars. These are made without gluten, grain, dairy, egg, soy, corn, almond, cashew, peanut, sesame, nightshade, or lectin. Look at them. Aren't they phenomenal? They look real because they are real. They're just made with different ingredients. And I would love to teach you how to break recipes the same way I do. So if you'd like to know more about this, you can put fast track in the comments or hop on a call with me so I can tell you more about it. I love you. Happy Saturday. I believe you have what it takes to take grains out of your pantry and stop the havoc that grains are wreaking on your body. Have an amazing week. I believe in you.